Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Well, today on the Bible Bistro, we're going to look at the last two verses in Psalm 3. And these last two verses, they are a prayer that David makes here at the end of Psalm 3. And again, you have to ask the question, if there's no help for him in God, so why do you pray? Why pray if salvation is not available? Why pray if the Lord can't help? And he kind of doubles down on this idea of salvation, that, that there is salvation available because, well, we'll just read verses 7 and 8, and I'll come back and I'll make my comment here. So verses 7 and 8 in Psalm 3. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for thou hast smitten all mine enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. Thy blessing is upon thy people. Selah. So you notice how he begins here. Arise, O Lord, save me, which is a direct response to what the enemies and those that have risen up against him have said. In God, for him there is no help. So he might as well forget it. It's done for David. David's through. Here you notice he says, "Arise, O Lord, save me." It's exactly the opposite. Oh my God. So he calls him the Lord. That's the tetragrammaton, the name of the Lord there. The Lord. O Lord, save me, oh my God. So, really, in miniature, we have this beautiful confession of faith. That he believes that salvation is available. He seeks the Lord for that salvation, and he seeks only him, the Lord, the God. So he goes directly to the source. You have smitten all my enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. I have in my translation that the word there, broken, could be translated shattered, which, if that's a good translation, and I will cast doubt upon my own translation, if that's a good translation, then it harkens back to Psalm 2. Psalm 2 in verse 9, when it said that the son will take the rod of iron and he will shatter the pots. Remember that there in Psalm 2? He's going to shatter the pots with a rod of iron. Well, that's generally speaking, because he's talking about the nations and those that rebel against him. Here, David adopts that language in his prayer, and he says, smite the cheeks, shatter the teeth. So if he's asking God to shatter the teeth, this is a little bit more of a narrow request or statement and request, because now instead of all the nations being shattered by that rod of iron, David's just asking for his enemies, that the Lord would stand up for him, and that the enemies would be taken care of. They would be judged. And then we have verse 8. Verse 8, we have this beautiful statement, salvation belongeth to the Lord. So it's not for anyone else to decide. It belongs to him. He's the one that grants it. He's the one that has it. He's the one that gives it. He's the one that does it. And whenever the enemies say, well, there's no help for him in God, well, why don't we just let the Lord decide that? How about that? And David makes this perfectly clear here in verse 8, and he says, salvation belongeth unto the Lord. It doesn't belong to anybody else. There's not a church that can dispense it. There's not a man that can give it away. There's no one who can say, yes, you get it, no, you don't. The Lord's the one that has it. It belongs to him. So everything about salvation is in his hands. And thank God for that, because we surely would mess it up. Salvation belongs to him. He alone has it. And then you have this lovely statement at the end of verse 8, thy blessing is upon thy people. If you go back to the end of Psalm 2, again, Psalm 2, in verse 12, remember that verse begins, kiss the Son, but it ends with, blessed are all those who put their trust in him, that is, in the Son. Here it is, There's another blessing. Here we have the third psalm, and we have now the third blessing. Blessed is the man in Psalm 1. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him, speaking of the Son. And now notice, blessing is upon thy people. Thy blessing is upon thy people. So God is blessing his people. How does he do that? Well, he does it with salvation. He saves them from their sins, and it brings them into a right relationship with him. All right, well, join me again next time. We're going to look at Psalm 4, and in Psalm 4, we have our first musical notation. So I hope you'll join me then here on Daily Dose Radio.